Michelle Molesky from CTV Windsor. Thank you for taking our questions, Prime Minister. If you're not seeking re-election, you're not running in the Liberal leadership, respectfully, why are you here in Windsor? This essentially feels like a campaign whistle-stop visit of our wonderful city. Why spend all this money on security and travel if you're not campaigning?
The job of a Prime Minister is not first and foremost to campaign. The job of a Prime Minister is to fight for Canadians, fight for these workers who here in Windsor are more exposed to trade with the United States than anyone else. And being here to reassure members of unions, people on the shop floor here, that the federal government continues to be there for them and will fight for them in this incredibly crucial time where an incoming American administration is proposing tariffs that would damage not just people here in Windsor, but people right across the country and indeed in the United States. This is a time for a Prime Minister to show up and fight, and that is exactly what I'm doing. The fact that I have put aside the partisanship to a large degree right now so I can focus on fighting for Canada in the time remaining to me as Prime Minister is actually a comfort to many Canadians who know that the government that was able to steer us through the first challenges that Donald Trump put forward as we successfully renegotiated NAFTA, as we got him to lift off the unfair tariffs on steel and aluminum, will be there once again to pull together Team Canada and fight for Canada. So I'm glad to be in Windsor, and I'm going to continue to do my job as Prime Minister every single day, which is defending Canadian interests, standing up for Canada, and actually defending the most successful trading relationship in the world between Canada and Americans for the good both of Canadians and of Americans.
Windsor. As you reflect on your legacy, how do you feel knowing that the consumer carbon tax is all but dead?
I am not spending any time right now reflecting on my legacy. I'm very much focused on continuing to do the work as Prime Minister. We are facing significant challenges to our economy from south of the border, and we are fighting for that every single day. We're facing increasing challenges from climate change at home and around the world. And we're continuing to step up by having moved forward on a price on pollution that not only reduces emissions and incentivizes green investment, but puts more money in people's pockets right across the country. Future governments will make the choices they make, but Canadians can know that it is possible to both fight climate change and put more money in the pockets of the middle class at the same time.
Rusty Thompson, AM 800 CKLW. Why do you believe you're effective right now in helping lead Canada's response to the tariff threats when the other side, the Trump administration, knows you're on your way out the door and might not ultimately be the person they're going to be dealing with and trying to sort this out?
Canadians had an election in 2021 that sent me into the Prime Minister's office once again. And every day I am here, I have a job to do in standing up for Canadians, in fighting for our economy, in creating good jobs in Canada and in the United States. And that's what we have been doing over the past number of years, and that's what I am going to continue to do. As you saw yesterday, whether it's premiers, whether it's the Business Council, the Canada-U.S. Relations Council we announced this morning, Canadians are pulling together as part of Team Canada, and my focus every single day will be to pull Canadians together as we stand for a better future and a brighter future for all of us.
Radio-Canada. Yesterday, we saw Danielle Smith, the Alberta Premier, refuse to sign the joint declaration after the First Minister's meeting. Does that not weaken Canadian unity if there's a province that's basically going it alone?
It was really important yesterday as we met with First Ministers from across the country that premiers have an opportunity to express the interests of their citizens, of their industry, of their area. Certainly, I don't blame Danielle Smith for speaking up for her industry. That's part of her job. But every single premier other than Danielle Smith then chose to put Canada first and say, but we're all part of Team Canada, because what happens to any part of us happens to all of us, and we will be there to respond strongly, to fight for Canada, and to do it in a united way that makes sure that it's fair across all industries, across all regions. That was what we came together yesterday to do. I would actually like to point out to Danielle Smith that Canadians know the importance of standing up for each other. That's why Canadian taxpayers bought the Trans Mountain Pipeline Expansion, TMX, to be able to get Albertan oil to new markets. That was an investment that all Canadians made, that the Alberta government is making billions of dollars off of, because in what was a very difficult decision, the federal government, we made the decision to purchase and build and complete that pipeline. That's an example of all Canadians standing up for Alberta and getting it done. So yes, premiers should be advocating for their own industries, their own country, their own communities, but they should also put their country first, as every single premier except Danielle Smith did. Now, I could point to any number of those premiers and point out lots of moments in which they have points of disagreement with me. From Doug Ford to Scott Moe to Tim Houston to even David Eby and Wab Kinew and others. There's all sorts of disagreements we're going to have. But when push comes to shove, every single one of them are Canadians first. And yes, they're going to look out for their communities, but they also know that looking out for all of us is what everyone in their communities expect us to do. And on top of that, I think it's very clear that right now, Pierre Poilievre, who wants to be Prime Minister for all Canadians, has a choice to make. Either he stands up to fight for all Canadians alongside all premiers and the federal government that are doing that, or he chooses to stand with Danielle Smith, Kevin O'Leary, and ultimately Donald Trump.